The goats were surrounding them at a distance and whispering to each other. Then they nodded at each other as though deciding something, and the whole group stirred. What are they doing? It almost looks like they're lining up in a different order. Send the stupid ones in front. Why? Wouldn't you want your strong guys to be in the back? You want to wear them out with the useless weak ones, and then just reinforce with the stronger ones later on. That's just my strategy. I mean, you don't want to lead off with your best, because if you lose your best, then you're just stuck with your worst. You lead off with your worst and progressively get to your best as you get thinned out. Well, they're giving their all that they have. They don't have replacements. Lucifer took aim at one of them, going for its forehead. The other 6 sisters followed her lead, trying to pierce the vital organs all over the creature's body. However, there was no sound of pierced flesh. The 7 sisters of Purgatory were knocked back, unable to cause even the slightest wound. The goats kept whispering in the same thing over and over as they slowly approached the 7 sisters. All of them whispered unanimously. They are not fictional, though. God, I wish. Wrong. They are the personification of all things perfect. That's what they personify. No, but go fuck it. Nah, fuck that. They are not fantasy. They're perfection. There's a difference. Hey, that's rude. They're not paperweights. They're much more important than paperweights. Fuck off. Fuck you, goats. As they whispered curses that denied the 7 sisters' existence, the goats lumbered closer. And if they were a paperweight, I would buy it. At least 1 paperweight, maybe 2 or 3. Because the paperweight would be worth more than anything I'd pay for it. God, if someone had a paperweight of one, I'd totally buy it. Sit the fuck down. Next. The golden bows of the Chichester sister troops mowed down the wall of goats with a shower of bright golden bullets. Some of the goats were torn to pieces, but some of them seemed completely unaffected. Then the goats who were uninjured all whispered as one. Rapidolls seem to be doing a lot of damage to you guys. I'm just saying. I mean, if it was Maria's imagination, then why is someone not Maria using him? Actually, I'm curious what their excuse for them is. I mean, I already have my... Theoretically, if I wanted to, like, really just cut into it, it would be like the personification of the culprit's identity issues, given the wounds they suffered from the past. That's how I view it, at least, but eh. So we just gotta use rifles. What is will? What does will represent? Renove stepped forward, stamped on the floor twice, and a red barrier rose up in front of him. Oh, The crowd of goats dashed into it with terrifying force. While some goats were blown away by it, several of them slipped right through the magical barrier. Which is why Genji's awesome. There was no longer any point in Vigilia trying out her magical spear. Now that some of the goats had decided that her existence was fictional, she could no longer hurt them. Even these great demons and great witches, as well as high-level furniture and weapons, were overcome with fear of the crowd that surrounded them, a crowd that would not be affected by any of their attacks. Agreed. A shriek from one of the goats became a signal for the wall for them to break. They pushed forward with gaping mouths and foul breath, each trying to reach their prey first, trying to return those fictional creatures to nothingness. As I carry Mayman out of there saying, "Nope, fuck off," Virgilia leapt in front of and held several of the seven sisters who had fallen on their butts, overpowered by the ferocity of the approaching goats. Hey, look, it's me. However, even Virgilia was a fictional creature to these goats. They could chew through her like cotton candy. Renove threw himself at the oncoming goats. Even he would be chewed apart easily. Knowing this, Renove leapt forward. Yeah, you still have your brute strength. Renove slammed his right fist into the side of the goat's face. As soon as he pulled it back, he swung his left leg into the goat's gut and spun around into a reverse roundhouse that caught the goat again. Renove knew. He could do less damage than a mosquito bite against those who didn't accept its existence. This was the height of anti-magic defense power in List 9. The goat swung its log-like fist with a sound like a storm. Renove dodged by a hair. If he had been an instant slower, the massive arm would have crushed his head like glass. R.I.P. Renove, you were the best servant I could ever hope for. Renove grinned and tried to act tough. He had already abandoned everything. There was nothing he could do here and now except it becoming a shield to buy time. He'd already chosen to abandon his life for this. I salute you, man. The goats kept coming, trying to feast on Renove. None that had any pretensions of making this a one-on-one fight. Nothing mattered except chewing apart fantasy, even just a nibble. As they gnashed those ruthless jaws and fangs, they gathered around Renove. Renove's foot hit something and he stumbled. God damn it. In the same instant, several massive arms reached out and lifted him up. Deleanor, Will, do something! God damn it, dude, I'm not gonna leave you here to die. I'll die with you. An elbow rammed itself into the massive, hideous jaws that were trying to chew Runawave's head. Of course, the goat did moan, but did nothing but deprived just one goat from his right of getting the first bite of Runawave's head. Many jaws opened wide, trying to crush him and throw him down into the heartless stomachs, which would permit no cheerful fantasies to exist. God, I want to say I will accept fantasy, even though I was so anti-fantasy at the beginning. Oh my god, the changes. It is possible, but it doesn't mean I care about that. Fuck off. I said it's possible to be mystery. Didn't say that fantasy is fake, though. It's possible to solve everything with mystery, but it doesn't mean fantasy is fake. Do something. All of the many arms that lifted Runaway were sliced off. The seven sisters used this chance to fly forward and grab Runaway, dragging him back. Mystery to oshshatta kata wa donata desu ka? Oops. Doranoru no yaiba wa tsujiru no? Yes. Any argument that doesn't fall in line with Delanor's reasons and her whole laws are gonna get destroyed. Blood-red longsword in hand, Delanor slowly walked forward. Behind her walked Will, tapping at his back with his black blade. Fuck. Goodbye. Literally, probably 80% of them. On this entire island, 80% of them probably just get wiped out immediately. The crowd of goats stepped back. Though they had been so vicious against the fantasy creatures, they stepped back when faced with this pair wielding swords of mystery. Yeah, they have to prove it. They can't explain it, they lose. You're the one in the hot seat now. Goodbye, literally all of you people. Blue Truth cut the goats apart. The blue delved within each and every one of the riddles in Beato's game so far. What about the closed room with the chain, first game, second twilight? What about the closed room of the chapel, second game, first twilight? What about the trick of killing Nandro, third game, ninth twilight? There was no end to the blades. And the thing is, I could probably fucking remember them all. The countless riddles Beatrice left behind became blades, challenges that tore the goats apart. If they wanted to play Deny Fantasy, they would have to make a counter-argument. They'd have to deal with every single trick as a mystery. However, while most of the goats called themselves anti-fantasy, they had no answer for the mystery. Well, every now and then, there was a goat who did have an answer. Wrong. Yeah, I mean, following every single rule is kind of like, eh. I mean, I would say it has to be fair, but at the same time, I don't think you have to follow everything to the T. Or behind the times. Really? Good lord, no it's not.
こいつら開き直りやはり私たちは時代遅れということなのでしょう。なら俺たちを納得させる推理を聞かせてみやがれ。いざ来たれ。
The whole crowd of goats charged them. In their fangs, each of them carried theories to crush Beato's closed rooms. The bodies of the goats were different from the ones who had become corpses so easily just now. They had mystery-style answers to several closed rooms. So it would take several blade hits to give them the fatal wound. However, Beato had left many blades behind. All of them were exceedingly sharp. So the pair of inquisitors didn't think this would be a desperate battle. This was mystery. The goal is to use all of your imagination and knowledge to challenge each of the riddles head on. Doing this is the greatest enjoyment of the mystery genre. So they laughed. Both Will and Delanor laughed. With smiles of admiration at the theories the goats had put everything they had into, they countered with blades from all the closed rooms. The crowd of goats was no longer an encirclement, but a great wave threatening to swallow the pair up. And yet, the pair repelled the enemy without giving an inch. They resisted firmly, cutting through the wave of wailing goats. It was like the ice-breaking ship knocking a path through the frozen sea. Can't have a kid in passage.
Nox 第3条秘密の通路の存在を禁ず
You have to have a clue. I mean, if there are no bodies, there are no crimes, and there's no mystery. Donor hesitated for just an instant. After all, this clinched the simple theory, managed to... cliched and simple theory managed to get around both Beato's closed rooms and the Nox commandments. Donor saw nothingness inside the goat's massive jaws. I mean, there's no crime if there's... there's no mystery if no one's dead. If no murders have taken place and there's no death, there's no mystery. Surely the jaws of that goat had closed over Delanor's head. However, the upper and lower jaws were no longer connected, so the upper half slid off to the side. Wow. The goats hadn't backed off enough to let the pair have a nice long chat about mystery. The next massive figure immediately enveloped them. Will's blade drew a diagonal slash across his chest, but it only cut through its clothes, leaving no wound. Which one's this one? Delanor also hit it with a longsword, but still had just cut the clothes without leaving a mark on it. Oh, fuck. Who has the 30 rules? Could it be that this goat had a theory that didn't violate Nox or Van Dyne? In an attempt to stop the goat from saying any more, Will and Delanor hit it with blades from every closed room and also has stakes from the 10 commandments and 20 rules, but none of it had any effect. Mystery people hit her, or fantasy. Slowly the goat clenched its mastiff fists together and raised them up high. What is it? Rip. With a roar, Will slammed into the goat giant with his body. Though his massive bulk bent back slightly, Will was still leaping into a death trap. However, if he hadn't done so, he wouldn't have been able to protect Eleanor. The goat grabbed Will. It lifted him up high and held him in the air. It was like a little kid shoving her off his favorite toy and waving it around, showing off. The goat's massive hands closed on Will like a vice. All the bones in Will's body were creaking. He doesn't have a theory? What the fuck? What? Will's head was lowered so his face couldn't be seen. However, the arm of the goat holding him was shaking. The embrace of this log-sized arm with a superhuman strength was being slowly pushed away by Will's shaking arms. Yeah, I mean, if you're not gonna say anything, what the fuck's the point of reading it at all? Like, if you're not gonna have any idea of what's going on, or have, like, any guesses, like, why are you even having an idea of what's gonna... What's the fucking point? Well, see, the thing is, he said it wasn't a mystery. That means the fantasy people can kill him. Yes. Though I like winning. The goat's arms were now spread wide, and it looked as though Will was now the one pushing it back. Will's face was covered in shadow and couldn't be seen. Rips his arm off. Will slammed his forehead into the goat's now unprotected head. Will hit it with his head over and over again. His forehead was being torn apart by the goat's fangs, but he kept on hitting it. Van Dyne and Knox may be behind the times. The mystery genre does progress with time, just like the world around it. However, there's one thing that never changes. That is pride. What is a knight proud of? Not victory. He's proud of the courage that lets him stand up to anyone without fear. Will couldn't forgive the kind of coward who could turn tail from a fight then brag about it. People who call themselves mystery fans, but who have no pride, were the only ones Will couldn't bear. The goat, unable to put up with this anymore, threw Will down to the floor. Then he lifted his fist again, determined to crush Will to pieces this time. A fist like a cannonball swung down towards him, was the very last thing Will saw before he shut his eyes. Yes. About time he got down here. Yep. Never stop thinking. Battler smashed his fist into Goat's mouth and smashed teeth bounced off the ceiling. Battler lifted up his arm. Realizing this was a signal, Lucifer and Choister 00 jumped. Lambda Delta throws popcorn onto the stage. Fuck you! The goat lifted his fist again and then swung it down Battler like a hammer. Thank you. I'd rather deal with the Seven Sisters of Purgatory, to be honest. Like, I imagine 7 goats could make it all the way to the end. 7. I'd say 7 could. Out of the ones that they're being shown now, because there are some really, like, grade A ones being shown. Well, I should say, probably like 1% of goats out there could. 7's a bit low. I simply just don't have the time for it, so all of you die. A gold glint gathered in Battler's hand. It was so bright that the whole hall was bathed in gold. Golden butterflies flitted about as though the whole room was being swallowed up by the golden land. Battler lifted his golden longsword high. I'd be the one goat just walking past saying, "Everything's great, I love this. This is an amazing tale, Battler." Everything makes total sense. A slice of the golden longsword flooded the hall with a sea of gold light. I have no desire to disprove this thing. This is 100% accurate. Then the whole group of goats clamoring about the hole turned into the clouds of gold butterflies and scattered. Even so, only about 100 of them had been wiped out. Before long, the massive crowds of goat outside would probably come pouring in. Let them come. Yeah, we could, but fuck that. Their excessively blunt refusal drew a few strained smiles. However, it had lessened the tension in the room just a bit. They're lovers, not fighters. Some are more precious than others, sadly. The Seven Sisters of Purgatory, the Geister Sister troops, and everyone else nodded forcefully. I didn't think otherwise. The sea of goats that covered the ground below them was jostling about more and more. By now, even the sea surrounding this island had disappeared. The horizon was gone, and the chewed-up island was now floating on an eerie emptiness like space. Wow, that was quick. The goats that flooded the edges of Broken Jima seemed to be spilling off the sides. Good. You can set up a game board anywhere. Probably somewhere where Burn is. The chapel looked like a white building floating in a pitch-black sea of goats. Yes, this was strange. There's no way those goats who consumed everything would go out of their way to just avoid just the chapel. I have to go drag her ass out of there and teach her a lesson. Outside the chapel was a sea of goats. Very soon the earth around the chapel would be eaten away, and it would probably end up floating on nothingness. The rampage of the goats, as they devoured everything and chanted the tragedy they imagined with one voice, was truly making a lot of noise. Shut up! However, none of that reached the inside of the chapel. Angie, I expect an apology, and you're going into timeout. Angie finally broke the magic seal on the entrance and stepped inside. The seal was supposed to be unbreakable by anyone. However, in the face of Angie Beatrice, Witch of Truth, the one who sought the truth and could sweep aside all forces and prevented her from finding it, no barrier was absolute. No. A single book, tightly locked, rested on the altar. It was a hidden diary that Ushirime Eva had written in, even in her later years. The Book of the Single Truth. It was the one Feathering had shown her in the world of 1998. This time I have the key. I gripped the golden key that sat in my pocket, the key Oni-chan gave me. As I approached the altar, I saw that Book of the Single Truth was wrapped in a strange binding of light. The Book of the Single Truth was sealed in something like a crystal. It was a seal made by the Game Master's authority. It was on a different level than the breakable magic seal on the door. No matter how Angie used her power as a Witch of the Truth, this couldn't be broken by anyone except the Game Master. However, this time Battler wasn't the only Game Master. Cheating! Angie slowly approached the altar. Stop right there. Cut her head off! At that moment, a fierce impact hit the pair of them. Ah, shit. Beta was flung away, and Battler was sealed inside a massive crystal that extended up to the heavens. Oh, thanks, Burn. It was a barrier, a massive cage of crystal. Battler was shut inside a crystal cage like a tower so large that you had to look up to see the top. Get out of here. Fuck. Why did you invite her? Erica. Beta left Battler to handle this on his own and headed for the chapel. Battler took a deep breath and smiled daringly. Are you still upset that we didn't get married? Ouch. The answer was a laugh. Yeah, that's right. That laugh is enough.
元気そうじゃねえか。
退屈ではありませんでした。
Have you lost some weight?
だって信じてましたから。
だろうな。俺も信じてたぜ。
Battler flung off his cape at the territory lord. It would only get in the way, and it would be a rude way to welcome his final guest.
あの暗い深淵は次にあなたに再会できたならどんなミステリーで戦ってやろうかと思案するには
My God.
実にちょうどいい場所でした。
この水晶の檻は俺たちの決闘のリングってわけだ。
Bring it, Erica.
逃げ場なしのチェーンデスマッチってわけだ。
思えば私たちいっつもチェーンの密室をめぐって戦ってましたね。
ならそうするか。まさにチェーンデスマッチってわけだ。
私に準備はありますがあなたはどうです？
I'm always prepared.
あるさ。言ったろ。俺も信じてたって。
At the same time, they both brandished their mystery, sealing the other in a chain-closed room.
来いフルドエリカー。
楽しませてもらいますよバトラさん。
Oh my God. Ah! At the same time, they were both sealed inside a closed room locked with the chain. Of course, it was easy to set and unset the chain from inside. However, stepping into their opponent's chained room would be difficult. How's it going in there? They're fighting to the death with two chained closed rooms at once. There could be no better closed room duel for this pair, which had battled with theories concerning chained rooms so often.
フルドエリカは自殺である、事故死である、病死である。他殺以外のあらゆる理由による死亡である。
What?
自殺じゃないです、事故死じゃないです、病死じゃないです。ちゃんと私はあなたに殺されますよバトラさん。
扉の隙間よりの毒ガスによる殺害である。部屋に注水しての溺死である。部屋の空気を枯渇させての窒息死である。
By throwing a knife through the door.
毒ガスではありません、溺死ではありません、窒息死でもありません。密室殺人に毒ガス、溺死、窒息死。
You missed me so much that you just died of excitement. How about that? Is that fitting for you?